DC is unique. We match other world-class cities pound for pound in dining, nightlife, arts, culture, theater, sports, outdoor activities, green spaces, and the list goes on and on. But nowhere else can compete with our monuments, our museums, and memorials, and no other city has as many free things to do. Add it all up, and DC's diversity of experiences is truly unmatched. There's only one DC.
Oh my goodness, that video always gives me the feels. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to There's Only One DC, the launch party. I'm Robin McLean. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Destination DC, and I'm joined today by a group that I think are some of the most brilliant creatives in the destination marketing space. We really appreciate your joining us and intend for you to leave this webinar excited about the new campaign, knowledgeable about how you can leverage it, and hopeful that the year ahead will match our new creative strategy with great success for DC's hospitality industry. And a reminder, we'll be answering those pre-shared questions throughout the presentation, in addition to opening up for Q&A at the end. DDC's marketing and communications team works like a creative agency. We support all of the other departments within DDC to develop marketing collateral and dynamic events. We produce our creative in-house. We develop the content that supports it. We pitch stories for journalists all over the world to share. And we work with MMGY Global to ensure our paid media strategy leverages every dollar of advertising spend. And that ad spend is nearly triple what it was in FY23. That's thanks to the Tourism Recovery District Assessment passed unanimously by the City Council and supported by Mayor Bowser and the Hotel Association of Washington, D.C. Because of the TRD, an estimated $21 million annually will be added to DDC's budget during the next 4 years and will support all the work DDC manages, including advertising. To do the work that's ahead, the M&C team has expanded specifically to support those additional efforts. Examples include an additional international media manager to cover new markets, a marketing manager to support the tourism team on its expanded budget for international advertising, a content specialist to write copy that's needed for ads, the website, and other content, an additional graphic designer for many more ad placements. I made the case at our annual Marketing Outlook meeting in August that There's Only One DC allows all of us to unapologetically own how fabulous the city is while promoting it. Mrs. Ali is featured in the launch video, but now let me share our full 30-second commercial that consumers will see.
Explore the largest library in the world. Visit the only Da Vinci in the Americas. Discover Michelin-starred eats and neighborhood favorites. Kayak on 2 rivers with monumental views. See a world-class show in a living presidential memorial. Immerse yourself in the history of our country. Find it all in the only place you can. There's only one DC.
And now I'm really pleased to introduce our creative director, Alex Ganapagas.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Robin. That 30-second commercial really sums up the campaign so beautifully. There's only one place you can have all of these unique experiences, and it's right here in DC. I'm Alex. I'm creative director here at DDC, and I'm so excited to give you a behind-the-scenes look at the only one DC creative that's hitting the airwaves as we speak. So if you take anything away from my remarks today, let it be this. We do not create any campaign in a vacuum. We began concepting Only One DC almost a year ago. Since then, we've presented countless times to our marketing committee. We've picked the collective brain of our international offices. We've even surveyed staff and friends. We've also worked closely with our friends at Future Partners to conduct one-on-one interviews and surveys of potential travelers. You may know Future Partners as Destination Analysts, one of the foremost consumer research companies in the travel and tourism space. We've worked with them for years to test our creative concepts, and these findings are integral to our success. I'll be sprinkling in this consumer feedback as we explore the creative. Let's go. So, our logo is the first and most iconic representation of the campaign. It truly encapsulates what makes DC unique. So the stars and stripes that you see here right in the middle, they represent a world-class city full of arts, culture, dining, green spaces. The list goes on and on. The icon of the Washington Monument in the O represents the unparalleled access to our country's monuments and memorials. If you put it all together, our diversity of experiences is truly unmatched. There is only one DC. So the response to our campaign in testing was incredibly positive. For the most part, participants felt like the logo and the tagline communicated the uniqueness of DC, and they appreciated the recognizable monument in the O. While not everyone understood the stars and stripes, our locals did, and that's what matters, right? So the logo font, which we'll see throughout our advertising, was inspired by signs from the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. We also have a version of the logo that's specifically geared towards our international audiences, who typically do not recognize the DC and need the inclusion of Washington for clarity. You'll see this version on all the creative executions in these international regions. Now, speaking of creative executions, the goal of Only One DC is to highlight DC's unique experiences and match them to our target audience's interests to drive consideration and booking. To achieve this goal, we've developed a suite of interest-specific creative assets for this November 1st launch. Tori will deep dive into our audiences and paid media strategy a bit later to help illustrate how we use the assets I'm about to share. But first, let's watch some commercials. So, destination commercials tend to look similar. You'll see every possible visitor type doing every possible activity in one 30-second spot. But if the ultimate goal of Only One DC is to prove DC's uniqueness as a destination, we have to do it uniquely. So we're breaking the mold. What we're doing is first, we're focusing on shorter commercials, given our understanding of how our travelers consume video. I want you to think social videos. Second, we're highlighting only one experience at a time that speaks directly to the interests of one or more of our target audiences. Our in-house video team developed only one 30-second commercial. It's the one you saw earlier, and 11 15-second commercials with 8 more in the immediate production queue and countless others to come. We think they're unique and impactful, and I want to show you a few that you haven't seen before. Enjoy.
There's only one place you can see a world-class show in a living presidential memorial. There's only one place you can visit Da Vinci in the Americas, and it's free. There's only one mall where everything is free. There's only one place you can explore the largest library in the world. There's only one place you can devour a half smoke with the side of history.
In testing, we showed consumers our Rock Creek Park and Lincoln Memorial commercials, which hopefully you remember from Marketing Outlook meeting. And the sentiment was very, very positive. Participants were particularly moved by the audio, calling it calming, serene, and peaceful. And each of our videos, as you've just seen, shares this ambient audio with calm voiceover. We think of it as our version of ASMR. And speaking of voiceover, our commercial voiceover artist is a local poet named Charity Blackwell. She also recorded 2 general 30-second radio spots for us, very similar to the voiceover for the 30-second commercial. And we'll have her back in the studio for spring to record a handful of audience-specific 15-second audio spots. So the next stop on our creative journey is ads. What do they look like? What's different? What will set us apart in the marketplace? To talk about ads, we need to first address photography. So with Only One DC, our photo style has evolved to be less talent-centric and more experiential. You see talent fading into the background. They're still there, enjoying everything DC has to offer, but they aren't the central focus. This style tested very positively with consumers. They described it as modern, sleek, contemporary. They said the lighting was bright, lively, welcoming, and the colors were vibrant. And they specifically noted that they're less busy and that it's easier to picture themselves in the experience. Now, on to ads. Our in-house design team created 73 HTML5 ads and 228 static ads for this November 1st launch, all focused on the wonderful experiences you can have in winter, broken down by audience interest. We have sets dedicated to dining, to history, to music, ads for niche audiences like LGBTQ, AAPI, and Black travelers, and a set of Spanish language ads. Travelers felt the design, headlines, and calls to action are inviting, their attention grabbing, and the ads were effective in increasing their consideration for DC for a future trip. And what more can you ask for? That's exactly what we want. So I thought it would be fun to dissect an ad for you. All units, print and digital, no matter the size, feature the photography I just shared, laid out in full bleed right to the edges. The font and button colors they all match and they're drawn directly from the images to help give a cohesive feel. You see here the reprisal of our logo font in the headlines, matched with a handwriting script that allows us to call out important value propositions like free. Each size features a location marker to help potential travelers plan their itinerary. Our CTA buttons include experiential calls to action like let's explore or let's go instead of plan your trip, to hit those upper funnel users as they're considering DC for their trip. And finally, all of the HTML5 ads land on our Only One DC campaign messaging, working to build that brand recognition at every turn. So as you're looking at the creative that went live today and you're thinking about how you can engage with Only One DC, I want to share something I'm calling the hierarchy of uniqueness, represented here as a pyramid. Within the pyramid are all the experiences you can have in DC, with the most unique right there at the top. Only One DC is about highlighting these unique experiences, and no creative execution does that more literally than our commercials. As you heard, each voiceover starts with "there's only one place," and we mean it. DC is the only place you can visit the largest library in the world. It's the only place you can explore the oldest urban national park. Nowhere else has these experiences, period. But not every experience fits right up here at the top. As you move down the pyramid, the pool of experiences gets larger. This is where you find our digital ads, our social channels, and content on Washington.org. We all know that DC is full of wonderful experiences, even if they don't fit that exclusive only one template of our commercials. The trick is the angle. So music venues as a concept aren't unique. Every city has them. What makes DC's music scene different? The same with dining. World-class dining is pretty standard of world-class cities. What's the angle that makes ours unique? So before I pass to Tori, I leave you with this question to consider. What is your angle? Where do you fit within the pyramid of uniqueness? And when you figure it out, let us know. We would love to help share your unique story with the world. On to you, Tori.
Thanks, Alex. Yes. Hey, guys. I am Tori. I'm the director of marketing at Destination DC. And a little fun fact about me, this is one of my favorite assets of the campaign, because this is my daughter, Sloan, and I at one of our favorite spots for summer and winter, the National Gallery of Art Sculpture Garden. But beyond being a stage mom, joking, my team works mostly with paid media to push our creative assets in front of our target audiences in our target markets. But how do we do this? How do we decide where we're advertising, who we're targeting? Today, I'm going to discuss all of this with you for what this looks like for our next fiscal year. At a very high level, we do this through a 5-step process. First, we determine target audience segments. Last year, we worked with our partners at MMGY Global to collect visitor spending and location data to develop audience profiles. Second, we look at arrival information to determine drive, fly, and opportunity markets. Next, we finalize proposed budgets and look at the KPIs we're able to achieve with the established budget level. And then we reach out to media outlets to determine which offers will create the best solution to reach these KPIs. And finally, we put the puzzle together. We take all of this data into account to create an annual advertising plan. And now I'm going to take you through each of these 5 steps to give you a more in-depth look at this year's media buy. So starting with our target audiences, in order to create these groups, we look at who we believe we're most likely to push towards booking overnight stays in hotels in DC. We access credit card spending and location-based data from visitors in the district. From this, we dig into their habits, their priorities, their familial makeup, and more. And eventually, we created these audience segments you see here. I'm not going to deep dive into each of these, but in short, we have sophisticated boomers. These are our group that skews older, but they're living in their golden age, investing in their travel experiences. They prioritize bucket list activities, but they're willing to invest in top-notch experiences. Suburban dwellers, these are your family travelers. Very common in DC, always travel with their children. They want to see and do everything, and free things are top of mind for them. Our prosperous households can be family travelers as well, but also travel solo with their partners or with friends, groups of friends. They want high-end experiences with exclusive access. Our modest travelers, while this group may spend less on their travels, they make it a high priority given their income level. They want authentic local experiences and are more likely to travel in a group. And beyond these target segments, we also place media buys to reach niche audiences that may be underrepresented in traditional buys. These audiences include individuals who identify as Black travelers, Hispanic travelers, AAPI travelers, and LGBTQ travelers. For some target markets, when we consider where we're going to advertise, we look at arrivals from both domestic and now international markets. We consider our top drive markets, so visitor markets from within a 4 to 5 hour drive of DC. We look at our top domestic fly markets. New for this year is opportunity markets. So with the expansion of this TRD funding, we're able to add these. These are fly markets where we see opportunity. These may mean that we're seeing an unexpected uptick in travel due to a direct flight, a seasonal event, or something else. And also new for this year, international markets. We'll be adding true direct-to-consumer strategy on the international level. We'll work with our comms team to ensure journalist pitching alignments, as well as our tourism team to ensure group travel outreach is aligned as well. So when we look at campaign budgets and KPIs, given access to the TRD funds, our advertising campaign budgets have increased year over year. Our annual domestic advertising spend will be about $14 million. We're so excited to bring the Only One DC campaign to life with a really healthy budget. Our international media campaign spend will be about $4.5 million. This is by far the most we've been able to invest in these markets. And considering these funds, we'll have new KPIs to reach this fiscal year. These will be approved by DDC's board of directors in December. But what you're viewing on the screen on the right now is a look at the organizational goals that the media buys supported and ultimately helped us achieve in fiscal year 23. So looking at step 4, you're seeing on the slide is the current media mix of the FY24 media plan. Working with MMGY Global, we go to RFP media outlets to consider the best plan for DDC's full campaign. We receive hundreds of proposals, maybe thousands each year. And on top of this, the in-house advertising team at Destination DC receives many advertising plan requests every single day. Everyone wants to work with us, which is great, but we are very thoughtful about considering which outlets and placements will reach our goals and help us make the best use of these marketing dollars. And then finally, in step 5, we put the puzzle together. These are examples of outlets we'll be working with throughout the course of the next year. Example placements include a one-of-a-kind, never-before-done custom sponsorship and video placement with the New York Times 36 Hours In program, print and digital features in Meredith publications like Parents Magazine, Travel and Leisure, Food and Wine, a sponsorship of Capital One's travel and hotel booking portal, and many, many more. So needless to say, I am so excited to bring these very creative ad buys to life as we bring, as we give the Only One DC campaign the best launch for success. This is a very first look at what ad creative will look like in our target markets, including something that is currently live in New York City's Moynihan Train Hall through mid-December. I want to wrap up my portion of this presentation with a special note on content creators. Last year, we developed our own in-house paid content creator strategy and campaign. We brought on Laura Calhoun as a marketing specialist to manage this. Even though the program launched in June 2023, through vetting influencers and creating opportunities, we have highlighted 35 members and partners and earned more than 134,000 social media engagements. And a great example of this, in June, we hosted 6 content creators over Capitol Pride Weekend to support local events, as well as promote World Pride 2025 coming to DC. This turned out over 275,000 impressions and more than 60,000 engagements. We were able to feature 10 members and partners throughout our time here. So below what you're seeing here are some upcoming themes for content creator hosting during this next fiscal year, and we would love to work with you. At the end of this presentation, we'll outline how you can get involved with this and more if that's something that you're interested in. I'm now going to pass this presentation over to Andrew, who's going to share how our target audiences go from being served advertising to engaging with content featuring you guys on Washington.org.
Thank you, Tori. Good morning. I'm Andrew O'Connor, the Director of Content Marketing. And as Tori mentioned, I'll be discussing our content marketing strategy for the Only One DC campaign. So you've seen some examples of our ads so far, and all of those ads drive back to Washington.org. The content team's objective is to take that consumer's initial interest, why they click the ad, and then push them through the marketing funnel. And for this campaign, we have 9 landing pages, most of which have been curated for our target audiences. Each landing page features a mix of inspirational articles and seasonal content relevant to each segment. Our goal is to ensure consumers take an action on the site. Some of those actions we're tracking are to view multiple pages, sign up for the latest visitor guide or our email, click out to member deals, and book a stay. I want to walk you through one of those audience landing pages right now, and you're about to see our modest travelers. And to give you a refresher, some desired activities for this audience are free museums, self-guided tours, local markets, live music, and affordable dining. So right off the bat, we echo our advertising with ambient video showing desired activities for the segment, the free museums and self-guided tours. And we include a glimpse of the only Da Vinci in the Americas, punctuating that Only One DC message. But before getting too far down the page, here are some actions users can take. They can order a guide, sign up for the monthly email, or view deals. Then we have a mix of content for consumers to dig deeper, free things to do, street murals, bites on a budget. This content is intended to convince consumers that DC is an incredible destination worth visiting and what it's like to visit. We also feature some social videos for more visual discovery, and this helps drive up engagement on these pages. And it's also a format consumers are familiar with, looking through their social feeds. And Lastly, we cap off the page with an Only One DC photo gallery, encouraging visitors to engage with our brand and contribute content during their visit and establishing some brand loyalty. So we'll track the performance of these pages using Google Analytics to measure engagement and web traffic. We'll also look to user experience data like heat maps and screen recordings to understand the behaviors on the page so we can continue to optimize these pages. And these pages are also mobile friendly, and the team did a great job of putting these together. So, we're really excited to start seeing those results trickle in. And while this ad campaign primarily consists of paid media, the Only One DC message resonates very well with our owned social channels. And we'll adopt it a few different ways organically. In the last couple of years, video has become the most highly engaged with medium across social. So we kicked off the campaign earlier today with the new Only One DC hashtag launch video. And we really hope that you guys engage with the videos from your channels. We're also calling on local influencers who Laura on our marketing team has developed strong relationships with to help amplify this campaign message at launch and beyond. And additionally, when engaging with individual consumers, occasionally we'll go beyond simple text replies to wow users with public Only One DC video replies. And our social pages will also get an Only One DC makeover for our headers, covers, and the link in our bio. So you'll see that Only One DC hashtag. It's going to be everywhere across our channels. And why that matters is because consumers are 2.4 times more likely to view user-generated content as authentic compared to content created by brands. So one outcome we're excited about with this campaign is to inspire visitors, member businesses, and locals to generate more content that we can share across our channels to authentically highlight all of these experiences from web to email to social. So with that in mind, here are a few images from the social team's Only One DC mood board. These Only One DC images show off something unexpected and unique to DC. Seeing an imposing elephant inside a museum that looks like a temple to science. Serene fall scene in the middle of an urban oasis that is Rock Creek Park. And a sense that spring and cherry blossoms are just as synonymous with DC neighborhoods as they are in the tidal basin. Ultimately, we want our feed to be filled with these types of Only One DC experiences because they're authentic, relatable, and they drive engagement. Now, I'm going to pass it off to Danielle Davis to discuss our communication strategy.
Good morning. Thanks, Andrew. So I'm Danielle, and my team is responsible for earning great media coverage about travel to Washington, D.C. and your business. You've heard all about the campaign messaging, and we are reinforcing it through editorial. So my goal is for you to understand how working with us to host and pitch journalists can complement all your other exposure avenues. The truth is, we need you as part of our efforts. So I'm going to talk about 3 things to know about your participation. They are what we're pitching, who we're reaching, and how we're doing it. So first, what are we pitching? As we pitch a story, we're pegging it to the news cycle to include a holiday or trend or what's new or current. And these areas can be connected to create a full travel story for a journalist. And my team really excels at connecting these dots. I'll take the recent reopening of the National Museum of Women in the Arts, for example. So that was an opportunity to pitch women-owned or women-led businesses to complement the museum and incorporate so many of these areas. And for example, a great piece in Forbes described 10 places in Washington, D.C. that celebrate women's empowerment. So that adds hotel, restaurant, and other businesses as part of the coverage. So think about how your business fits in with the news cycle. Are you celebrating a season or a holiday in a particular way? We need to know. Okay, number 2, who are we reaching? You see all the audiences we reach on this slide, but I'll focus on what's new this year. PR efforts will really support major domestic campaign buys. So think targeted outreach around consumer activations or in new markets where advertising has expanded. There are also new international trade opportunities. So DC has joined the Best Cities Global Alliance, which enhances our international meetings reputation, and it comes with additional PR opportunities. So let me talk a little bit more about international. As you heard Tori mention, the growth has really been impactful. So along with tourism, we're expanding our reach in key international markets according to the data. So new representation in Brazil, Mexico, and Canada help drive our PR efforts. And in fact, we've created a new role to handle the proactive outreach and hosting. So this really adds to the success and growth we've already seen in our established international markets that have come back in full force and then some. So the third area that I want to concentrate on is how we're reaching journalists. And the best way by hands down to secure positive coverage is for journalists to experience the destination for themselves. Again, we need you for that. So when we bring you a travel writer, we've vetted the opportunity, so know that we anticipate a positive ROI when a journalist has a good experience at your business. The volume of hosting continues to grow. We have journalists in town as we speak, so there is enough opportunity to go around, and we really look forward to working with you on them. Continuing a little bit on how we reach media, practical tools are still really important, and they're another opportunity for your businesses. So we're producing a quarterly journalist newsletter that reaches thousands of opt-in subscribers and seasonal press releases that are another way we pitch the destination. Again, these tools are here for you and that we can incorporate what's going on at your businesses. So we've covered a lot and we're going to make it easy with wrap it up with some key takeaways for how best to work with us. So from the editorial side, please send your news or short updates to the DC Media email address. It reaches all the team members responsible for creating content and pitching. And we need your photos too. Press approved photography goes a long way in making it easy for a journalist, and that's really what we want to do. Let me know if you want to host and you're not already in touch with our team about it, or if there are particular markets you want to focus on. And again, you can see all the practical resources I mentioned on our press page on washington.org. So now Andrew will cover how to engage with content.
Thanks, Danielle. Here's how you can contribute web content for this campaign. Upload a deal inspired by an Only One DC experience at your business, or upload your exclusive events to the website via our member extranet. And share your news with DC Media at washington.org, something you just heard. My team also receives the information that Danielle's team receives. And this matters because we use that info as well as your deals and events in editorial content, in marketing emails, and on social. And speaking of, start using the Only One DC hashtag across all your socials, and don't forget to engage with us. Upload video or photos to the DDC member asset uploader, which you'll see in the toolkit coming up, and offer to host our social team for a visit. This all matters because access to quality content helps us create new content. And some of our best performing social videos have actually come from member B-roll. So now Tori is going to share some more about marketing co-ops.
Yep. Excuse me. So as I mentioned previously, we invite our members to participate in our advertising co-ops. You can get discounts on media placements. You can be featured in influencer content that through an influencer that's been vetted by our team. Or engage with consumers at pop-up activations. I've listed the link here so that when you receive these slides, you'll be able to access that immediately. And now I believe we have a few more reminders for you all.
Hey, we made you a toolkit. It has a diverse range of assets, tips, tricks designed to help you amplify our Only One DC message. Andrew and I will quickly walk you through it. We're going to go to an external link and show you, and we'll share this link afterwards so that you can reference it all you want. So here we are. As you dive in, you'll see our campaign objectives, more information about our target markets, a bit about our positioning that can really help you as you're considering Only One DC. Next, we outline for you our visual language. You'll recognize this from our presentation, where I break down the anatomy of an ad. As you're creating advertising of your own that speaks to Only One DC, I hope you'll reference this page as a style guide. I think it will be very helpful for you. So now our campaign assets like logos, photos, and videos are subject to copyright, but we want you to be able to capture assets of your own that feel on brand with the new campaign. On this page, you'll find some tips for capturing photos in the Only One DC style. You'll also find the link to our media gallery, which has a wide range of photos and video B-roll that may help you mirror the campaign. And this media gallery is always evolving. As we capture photos and B-roll for your use throughout the year, we'll upload them there and you'll be able to access them. So now I'm going to pass it to Andrew to take you through the toolkit from a messaging and social perspective.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, so we've developed some messaging guidelines as well, which we use in-house to help inform how we refer to the campaign in emails and ads and in other writing. And you can see some of our do's and don'ts, examples for writing for an international audience, and examples of how some ads will reference the name of the campaign at the bottom here. Additionally, we also have some examples of copy broken down in our next page by length. This is just some campaign boilerplate that can be added to websites, email newsletters, and in social. You'll also see some examples of copy by industry. So if you're a hotel looking to incorporate only one DC, you can do that by using some of this copy for an email, we'll say, and just pulling from the general industry-specific hotel copy here. Or perhaps it'll inspire something else from your property. You can also just get straight to the point with some calls to action that we've added at the bottom. And then for social, we've also created some social media ready posts you can use, both short and long examples. And we provided a few examples from local member businesses that hopefully spark some ideas for how you could create an Only One DC social message from your business. We're also going to have our launch video that I referenced on social earlier. So this page is going to get an update very soon, so you can engage directly with those launch videos. And then lastly, if there's really one page to remember, it's this last one. This is all the ways that you can get involved with this campaign. Everything's on here. Bookmark this page, save it, engage with us so we can all rally behind the message that there's only one DC. Now I'm going to pass it back to Robin McLean.
All right. Wow, that's a lot. I hope that you are excited about this campaign like we are. We're really proud of it. And we're proud of it because of its inclusivity. We feel it hits the note for all of our marketing and sales efforts, from group sales to leisure travel. And the M&C team may see our individual touches all over it, but this was an intentional collaboration to ensure that our new creative extends the success of our paid media strategy. And we hope that all leads to more ROI for the city and each of you. You are our partners, and we thank you for your support of DDC and this new campaign. So we're happy now to answer any questions. I think a couple have come through in the chat, and Kara Johnson, our event manager, will let us know what those are.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for joining the webinar. We have one question so far. This question is from Elizabeth. It says, are the commercials available, approved for us to share with clients, include in pitch decks and in conjunction with our own materials?
So the commercials, in terms of what we've shared via YouTube, yes, you can absolutely share those with clients and through your personal channels. I need to clarify further, like you can also, I think, share through social channels with that, through our social channel, complementing that and helping engage there. And then what was the other part of that question that I think I left out?
Can we pitch it with decks in conjunction with our own materials?
I think that that is fine as well. Obviously, the only thing that we're protecting in terms of our advertising is, you not using it as advertising in the same way that we are. And so I think we've certainly expanded all of our assets and things like that. But if you feel like our new brand messaging can help tell your story, that is the intent of it as well. So happy to do that. And it's why we've created that toolkit, which has has links to all of the commercials that we'll be using through our paid media buys. Anyone else from the team want to add to that? Okay, Alex?
I was gonna say you got it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Kara, next question.
All right. Wanted to confirm that we can use the B-roll assets.
Yes, that's why we create B-roll, but let Alex add to what's new about it.
Yeah, you can use the B-roll assets. The media gallery that I referenced, which you find at media.washington.org, what happens there is you go in and you will see photos and videos and you add them to essentially a shopping cart. And when you check out that shopping cart, you will fill out a form that allows us to know how, where, and how long you're going to use our assets. You then submit, and that comes directly to our asset manager, Allie Johnson, who will look at all of that information. If she has questions, she'll reach out, but she'll approve that, and you'll have a download link sent directly to you so you can download. But all of the assets, and as I said, we keep adding to it. We will be adding to it over time. But that's kind of the process for using it. Yes, you can use that B-roll in any way you want. You can use it editorially, you can use it in your own commercials, you can use it on a TV show if you're doing that, anything you want.
Great. Next question. How do we participate, collab with influencers who we are bringing for live events?
Yeah, I can take that one. Hi, Kat. So at the link that is included on that slide for participating in advertising co-ops, listed under the co-ops, there is a host and influencer link. And what that means is it's just signaling that you're interested in hosting an influencer. That means different things to different organizations. So it might mean providing an influencer a meal. It might mean hosting them at your hotel. It could mean different things to different people, but generally what it means is you are not paying to host the influencers. You're paying through providing a service or a meal or something like that. But we need to know that you're interested in doing that in order and have a good healthy list to work from. So filling out that form, there's obviously no cost to filling out that form, just signals that intent that you're interested in hosting. And then Carol, I'll actually just take the next question as well. I'll take that off your plate. So David asked, within the thematic opportunities slide, you didn't see winter as one of the seasonal opportunities. You noted this is typically a need period. How can this campaign help bring influencer travel during the winter season? I apologize because you're right. This was an upcoming themes, but we are hosting influencers throughout this season. So we are hosting them a lot now. We're working with local influencers to promote staycations in DC. We just wrapped up a great promotion on DC on a budget throughout different neighborhoods. And we'll be doing that throughout November and December as well.
And Tori, I'll just add to that because I think in the question it was also we were asking about will we be promoting winter this year? And so one of the previews that Tori had in her slides was she mentioned Moynihan Train Hall in New York City. And so we've taken over 25% of the share of voice there in Moynihan Train Hall, but we also have a fun digital ad that we showed you there that says, hey, New York, did you know Washington, D.C. is 4 degrees warmer than average during the winter time? So come warm up in New York, warm up in D.C. this winter. So it's playful, it's reflective of something that we did successfully in Philly in their 30th Street station train station earlier this year. And so speaking directly to those consumers. So we're doing advertising this winter. This campaign actually launches with the winter advertising and in our top markets. Kara, what's next?
Yes, okay. Did we answer Meg? I don't think we answered Meg. The onus might fall on us, but do you have any recommendations on how we can incorporate Only One DC into our marketing as a multi-city brand organization?
We do. I think we've given sorry that I don't know what business Meg is from, but I will say that in the toolkit, you'll see we have messaging for attractions, that suggested messaging for hotels and restaurants and dining. And so we really try to make it as easy as possible for you to think about how you can embrace Only One DC. Actually that idea for those different messages for the different businesses is from our marketing chair, Nancy Coity.
Right, thank you, Robin. Are there any plans to have the pieces in other languages for international promotion?
Absolutely. And Teresa Belpulzi and the Tourism, Sports, and Visitor Experience team are all over it. So I mentioned some positions on marketing and communications that support her efforts, both for advertising consistently for the first time internationally. So yes, you'll be seeing this in some different languages, but also the markets that you saw on the slide. I'm sure I'll miss one if I try to go from memory, but from China, UK, France and Germany, Australia, India, Brazil, Canada, and Mexico are new markets. And so all of those are covered by Teresa and team, and the advertising will be in those markets, in language in those markets when produced.
Thank you. Seems we have 3 more questions. This is anonymous. I don't see the Wharf Incorporated unless I missed it. This is still relatively new. How would that be brought in so we can grow that awareness?
Oh, there definitely was at least one venue I know I saw from the Wharf in there, Alex.
Yeah, in our digital ads for winter, we specifically highlight Union Stage and Pearl Street Warehouse. So we're really honing in on the amazing music venues at the Wharf during this season. But you will see as we swap seasonally how that really expands, because the river story is very important to us and the waterfront story. And so you will definitely see it more and more.
And also just wanted to mention, you see on these images on the screen, Arctic House, National Museum of Natural History, we location tag in nearly every one of our ads. So it does actually say the Wharf or the location that it's on, called out in text as well.
Thank you. The next question, how is the campaign supporting positive perception of DC within the context of safety and security?
Well, I think that's something that I think as a major US city that we have to contend with. And so Danielle and team message, I think in a very balanced way about DC in that regard. So when we get those questions about safety, we're certainly answering them. And Danielle can go into that in more detail, but we're certainly answering them as thoughtfully and directly as we can, depending on what kind of questions we're getting. But I think what this campaign shows is the breadth of experiences that you can have in DC. And it's not just, one area or one neighborhood or, it's really bringing the entire city to life. And so I think as we talk about that, you're not going to talk about safety front facing in a campaign, but we're certainly, when asked about that, sharing what our city is doing proactively to try to get ahead of the safety issues that are the reality, certainly, of every major US city.
Thank you. Okay, and 2 more questions.
You have something to add?
Sorry, I was just going to add that the volume of what we're able to do internationally also helps us here, because perception internationally of the US as a safe destination is of the utmost importance. And so just adding all the things that we talked about from an international perspective, I think helps. And the important thing for us is not shying away from the safety questions, as Robin mentioned, this is something that all major US cities are unfortunately dealing with, and we have to be real about that. But I think that everything that this campaign is doing is very reflective of the city as well. And so reiterating that only in DC message really helps us too.
Thank you. What are some of the most practical ways members can join in to leverage this campaign to benefit our company? How does this help us directly?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So I think, through our website, there's a lot of ways to drive content and drive users back to your site. And, that starts with the member extranet, uploading deals, making sure your business listing is up to date, adding, your events, as well as, some additional opportunities around editorial. So that's keeping, the communications and content team in the loop using that DC Media email address. There's also the opportunity for advertising with Miles Partnership for, additional ways to drive consumers back to your site to book, to, plan their trip. So those are some of the ways that, we encourage members to get involved. A lot of that information is in that toolkit we talked about. So I think that's also, just a good place to continue to find those opportunities for members.
Thank you, Andrew. And then our last question, our festival DCBX live events attract 2,000 attendees for 4 days downtown. Is there a way to collaborate with other members here as well as DDC?
So I'll take that because I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention our awesome partnership and alliances team. That is where members are served first and foremost. And I will say through member events and getting engaged in that way, meeting other members, creating those conversations at member events to try to align on some of your marketing, I think we definitely have success stories that have come out of people meeting at member events and leveraging their membership at DDC. So I would encourage that. And I would also, if there's a member that you're looking at specifically that you think could complement what your event is and are working on. So for example, is it a particular restaurant? Maybe that restaurant is a DDC member and we can connect you. And so happy to do those things too. We have a whole membership team dedicated to those types of things. So if it isn't within the marketing toolkit or it's not something regarding what we've shared today, the membership team can certainly be helpful.
Thank you, Robin. And I think that ends the Q&A section.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're at the end. We are no one without you and our great partners. And we want to give a special thank you to those on the screen who, have worked with us to develop this creative. You've just been so generous and we're really, really grateful to you. So thanks everyone for joining. And just look for the email about Only One DC coming out after this webinar. The toolkit will be in there and we look forward to engaging you with our new brand messaging. Take good care and thanks team.